like walking around with a bazooka. Anyway, hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Learning to Fly podcast. Today we get Jeff, the OG, the producer, the man of the hour, the owner of Campfire Video Solutions, on the pod. Thanks, Jeff.
Yep, not used to being on this side.
I know. We've been waiting on you to accept the invite for quite some time, and today's happened.
I've been avoiding you.
Yeah, avoiding us like the plague. No, actually, you've had some issues, some back issues.
Yeah, getting old.
Yeah, well, you're young. How old are you?
I'll be 35 in like a week.
Man, I'm 11 years older than you.
Yep.
That's kind of strange.
Yep.
Is that strange? I'm like an older brother, maybe.
Once you get to a certain age, it's kind of all the same.
Oh, man, that's crazy. I didn't know it was that bad. You could have lied to me a little bit. But no, we kind of took a little bit of a break right after the holidays. Family always comes first, and Jeff's a part of the family. And when he's down, we're down. So we, like I said, he's had some back issues. Hopefully dodging surgery. We're not sure yet, but that's something you could talk about if you want to. Welcome to the show. Thanks for producing the show.
Yeah.
Actually, I think I shared with you on the way in, I've had 3 or 4 people, at least 3 I know of. They're like, man, where's the new episodes of the show? I'm like, well, just give us a minute. We're busy.
We're back at it.
Yeah, we're back at it. So did you have a good holiday and all that?
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, we've got kids in daycare, so we're always dealing with some kind of flu or something going around, but we're good. So.
That is something. I mean, I walk into about 2 or 3 houses a day.
Yeah.
And I'm always wondering, like, am I walking into the plague here?
Yeah, you never know.
Dodged it, too, a little bit. Yeah. Everybody's had colds, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But nothing long-lasting. But, first of the year, quite a few changes. I think there was a new president?
I think so. That's a rumor.
Got through that. Today is what, the 26th of January?
Like that. Yeah, 27th.
So 7th, week after the old inauguration. Did you watch that at all?
I did, yeah.
Dude, that was I'm not highly political, so don't take me this way. But the people watching, watching was phenomenal, and the memes, you get memes with anything, like any football game, any whatever, but George W. Bush, that whatever he was doing is cracking me up, man.
Yeah,
he's got this boyish look about him, and he's like I'm in the wrong place, but and then they put all this stuff to these memes, and I lose my mind. I'll stare at that stuff for an hour, waste time. But that's cracking me up. Trump's youngest son,
Barron.
Yep. That dude's a stone cold killer, man.
Yeah.
He's 6. I read up on him a little bit.
Yeah.
He's only 18 or 19.
Wow.
Brooklyn, my daughter.
Oh, yeah.
Thinks he's just the bee's knees. I hate that. But I do admire her liking a driven individual, so that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I watched him walk up to Biden,
mm-hmm.
and he reached in there and he whispered something, and I won't repeat it on here, but I know what he said. And the look on Biden's face was like, it's kind of interesting. But we won't talk any more politics, but I always thought that was funny. But
yeah, it's something to watch. I mean, whatever you think about it, it's history.
It is history.
I think it's fascinating to see how that all works.
Yeah, it's I wouldn't say my biggest flex would be changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. But whatever, hey, the Gulf of America. Hey. I got to change all my T-shirts now.
Leave your legacy.
But it got through that, and now we're almost through the worst weather month of the year.
Yeah,
2 more months till spring.
A little bit of hope. Feels like we're getting there. So,
but what's been new since the first of the year? I know you're super busy.
Yeah, just trying to navigate. How the year's going to go with projects, and this is my 3rd full year. So
this is your first.
The start of the 3rd full year. Yeah.
Well, you're out of the infant stage.
Yep.
They say 2 years.
Yeah.
But, whatever that means. Yeah. Whoever they are. But, that's got to make you feel good. I don't know about you, but the day I officially started Basham Construction, when I made that switch, I wrote it on the wall. I stare at it every day.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I do.
Yeah.
And it reminds me, and it's been like 5 years now.
Yeah.
Every year that went by, I was like, getting closer to that infant stage.
Yeah.
Whatever that means.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know, something cool. I have a vision board in front of my computer at my office, and my kids always wondered what it was, and I said, these are my goals. I stare at them every day.
Okay.
And one of them was something you know about. I won't talk about it, but it was a goal of mine. And I was able to get it done.
Yeah.
So I took that off the wall, and I put something else up there and a couple other things. And Bo goes, "You really going to do all that?" I said, "I sure as hell hope so." I did the other one.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's how you learn. That's how you grow. It's what keeps me driven, all that kind of stuff. But I know like goal setting is a big thing for most people at the end of the year, first of the year.
Yeah.
I have a different outlook on that. I'll probably talk about that on a separate podcast. But, very, very driven. I'm not a New Year's Eve guy. I'm not a New Year, New Me guy.
Yeah.
I think that's, if it is for you, that's great, but it's just doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
But your growth has been, so 3 years, your growth's been pretty steady.
Yeah. And I think that's where I'm at now, is like getting out of I feel like the last couple of years I've just had my head down. It's like, what do I have this week? Then what's next week? And you just kind of keep building it. And I'm trying to get to a point where I can kind of start looking out a little bit further and make some goals. And not that I haven't had goals. It's mostly just been like a revenue amount that I'm trying to hit for the year or whatever. But
well, that is a goal.
It's a goal. Yeah. But and that's one factor. But I think, being a little more intentional about what I'm shooting for and kind of how I'm structuring. And now I've had a few years of projects where I kind of know which ones I like doing, which ones I don't, which industries or which types of videos I'm doing. So kind of dialing in more of doing less of the ones I don't love and more of the ones I do.
Yeah.
And so
that's interesting you say that, because our journey started together, 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And even how we do business together has changed.
Yeah.
And from year 1 to year 3, I would say for the better. We added the podcast.
Yeah.
We don't do videos like we did on Every Kitchen.
Yeah.
We saw the value in terms of like, it's neat, but people weren't watching them. They'd rather see the quick picture before and afters.
Yeah.
So making that decision wasn't like, I mean, we're like, well, let's just try it for a year, see what we may come back to it. I don't know. But our bigger renovations, like the one we were just talking about, like you're on all those, obviously.
Yep.
Stuff like that. But what are some of your, obviously you've added some services.
Yeah.
Is the podcast thing still something you want to pursue for multiple other people?
Yeah. And I think, this has obviously been
you're not going anywhere, are you? The Eagles getting nervous.
The lights are going to cut off.
The Eagles flailing there. It's like, oh,
no, I think, the podcasting thing is a newer service, and it's one of those where I want to put more time and effort into it, and I think changing up the way I'm doing some other things will give me more time for it, because I do think there's a value to it, even if it's just a way to create a lot of short form content for somebody. It can be a great way to do that, but it's just one of those. It's just me, so I'm trying to kind of figure out the best use of my time and where to put it. And one area that I've expanded a lot is construction, like the construction industry, and obviously working with you, but even some other, like road construction companies. I'm doing a lot of work in that world. So, and I really enjoy that. It's a good mix of drone work and, ground video and stuff. But I like the construction industry just because it's fascinating to me to see something go from, nothing to a structure or to totally change from what it was. And I like the process of it. So I like those. And almost every construction company I've worked with, they're just like great down to earth people, super easy. Yeah. There's no drama. There's no issues. It's just,
Oh, there's issues.
Well, not from my perspective.
No drama though. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. We have, we've put drama in the hole and cover it with concrete.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. We don't do drama.
Yeah.
I bet your son thinks you're the coolest dad ever. You come home with some cool.
I do. Yeah. I'm always excited when I get, anything with like a crane or
the
big
train
excavator.
one you did.
Yeah.
Was interesting.
Yeah, done a couple projects that had trains in them. So yeah, I'm always excited to show him those. I don't think he fully understands what I do, but he will at some point.
I don't know that any of our kids fully understand until they have to start paying taxes.
Yeah.
They're like, oh man.
Yeah.
Well, you remember we had Will on? He commented from the Smiley Show. He's like, man, my dad would always come home grouchy and all that. He's like, I just thought that's how it was, you know. And then I got older and I didn't want that. And he went a different route.
Yeah.
I think we do that for our kids, not to them.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, hey, this is what I'm dealing with.
Yeah.
If you like the lifestyle, or if you don't, you know, you may have to switch avenues or patterns. But
yeah.
I think there's a lot of value in showing our kids the real stuff.
I would agree.
Even in your bad days, like, man, I just got my teeth kicked in today.
Yeah.
Or I just lost a whole bunch of money on a project. Or whatever it is.
Yeah.
They need to hear the losses more than they do the wins.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, I grew up, you know, my dad has an electrical business, and
sat next to him at the DU banquet.
That's right.
He's a heck of a guy.
Yeah, and I can remember times growing up where, like, you know, he'd come home from work and I had no idea what his work day was like, but he would drop everything, you know, play with me, whatever I had set up to play with, and then, you know, I'd go to bed and something, you know, I'd come out of bed in the middle of the night and he's at the table with blueprints out, you know, like still working. It's those memories are like stuck in my head of, like, you don't realize when you're a kid how much your parents are doing outside of the time that you're seeing them. And that's, you know, it was a good example for me that I'm doing the same thing. And my son will get up sometimes and I'm editing it, you know, 10 o'clock at night. And so it's just kind of a cool parallel there.
Yeah. Does how old's your boy?
4.
Man, that's a fun age.
Be 5 this year.
So have you taken him on any jobs yet, or
no,
teaching him how to fly the drone?
He's flown the drone a couple times. Yeah, he got a kick out of that.
Jesus, take the wheel.
Right? Yeah, we out to my parents' house. They have like fields behind them and stuff, so nothing to run into.
Oh, I've been to your childhood home.
Yep.
Yeah. If I can't share that, you tell me. But I tell you what, Carrie and I went there and met your mom. And it was the funniest thing in the world. I'll never unsee this or unhear this or tell this story. But it felt like Ace Ventura going back to Finkel and Einhorn. Go to his bedroom. We went in Jeff's bedroom, like, holy cow. Yeah. It ain't changed. She's like, it hadn't changed since he left.
Still a basketball room.
It looks like a basketball arena in there. It's so cool.
Yep.
And I told Carrie was kind of new at the time. I was like, we should take a selfie and send this to him. But I didn't want to make it weird. With your mom either. It's like, she'd probably think something weird.
No, she think it's funny.
No, that's a fun fact that I got to. You guys ought to Airbnb that room out.
Yeah.
Well, $200 a night.
I think, once, you know, my sister left for college and then I was still there. And then when I left, then my sister got married and had kids. And they're like, well, we'll just keep this as kind of a grandkid room. You know, my sister has 2 boys. So it just kind of became the grandkid room. So. Yeah.
Well, that's good. I know we talk about, like, Campfire, how it started. I mean, if anybody is following the show and listening, you know quite a bit about it. But I'm glad you're on because I wanted to go a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
What was your tipping point? I'm just curious for myself.
Yeah.
Because I knew what you did before, and I knew how you got into this.
Yep.
But what was, like, the tipping point? You're like, you know what? I'm ripping the Band-Aid off. I'm all in. Like, tell us what that was like.
Yeah. So, when I first started thinking about doing video, I was working for a home inspection company. Awesome family. Housemaster is the company.
They're the best.
Great people.
Yep, they're awesome.
I couldn't have landed. It was just kind of luck that I landed in a marketing position with them and had a great experience for, I think, like 3 years. And during that time, Trent, the owner, he wanted to get into doing more video for their business, and I had a little bit of background in it, just kind of more of a hobby thing. And we started making a lot of videos for the home inspection business. And after we had done it for a while, it just kind of hit me one day. It's like, I really enjoy this. You know, I had a lot of different responsibilities, but that was kind of the most fun part of my job. And I was like, you know, I could see myself doing this for other companies too. You know, like I could see myself doing this part of it as kind of my full-time thing. And it was right around, right before COVID hit, somebody that I knew through that world had reached out and said, hey, I know you do a lot of videos with Housemaster. Would you want to I've got somebody that wants to do a video. Would you want to do that? Outside of all that stuff. And I was like, yeah, I guess I could. You know, I had no idea what to charge them or anything, but I did it. And that was like December of 2020. And then right after that, you know, everything kind of started to fall apart. And I had a conversation with my boss and he was like, you know, there's a chance, like, depending on how this thing goes, like we may have to take you down to like, part-time work. And I was like, okay, if this is a possibility, I'm going to have go to part-time, I might need to start ramping up doing some more video on the side just to kind of make up the difference. I ended up not going part-time with them, but I had a conversation with him like, hey, would you care if I start doing this on the side? And he was totally cool with it. They were awesome about it. And I did that for two years, just kind of as a side hustle.
Okay.
And I did that for a while, which was awesome for me because I got to kind of get my feet wet with it, get all the kinks worked out before I was like fully, 100% reliant on that for my income. And towards the end of that second year of doing it as a side hustle, I got a pretty big project with a company, and it was at that point where I was like, okay, I don't have enough time to do all the work that I just sold them on in just my spare time or nights and weekends. It was going to have to be during the week. And it was like, okay, I'm either going to do this or not do it.
Yeah.
And I was like, if I can get this one, I can probably get another one similar.
Yeah.
And so that's when I was like, and I gave, Housemaster a pretty long off ramp. I told him like, it's going to, I think it was like a few months that I was going to be leaving, and they were, good. And I still do work with them today, but
the day you cut, like day one,
yeah,
when it was just you, what was that day like?
Weird.
Yeah.
It was really weird.
Tell me more about that.
Yeah, it was just...
I'm curious.
Yeah. Well, and I wouldn't have been able to do it. My wife was amazing about it. She has a full-time job and had the health insurance and all that stuff, kind of was holding that down. So that gave me the opportunity to do it, because otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to do that. And so it was a weird feeling. But I was excited because like, okay, now I'm just kind of unleashed now. Like, I'm not restricted with time. I can do as many projects in a week as I can squeeze into the week. And, but definitely nerve wracking, because it was like, okay, this is going to be a sink or swim kind of situation here.
Yeah. There's beauty in that though.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I don't know how you felt.
Yeah.
And I interrupt a lot. I'm working on that. I'm reading a book about
I've watched a few of these.
But I remember just the fear of it.
Yeah.
If you let that fear just overtake you, it paralyzes you and you won't do nothing about it.
Yeah.
But making that decision is the most exciting and terrifying. And it's a feeling I don't think you can recreate.
Yeah. I would agree.
It's just when it's just you.
Yeah.
It's just you.
The only thing I can kind of compare it to is like when you first have a baby.
Yeah.
You get home from the hospital, and it's like, okay, it's us now. Like, there's nobody else here to, tell us how to do this.
Where's
like
the manual?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that, but in a different way, obviously. But
I remember, I was like, the first day, it was like I was really nervous, really excited, and then it just kept getting exciting, and then it kept getting busy, and then it kept getting so busy that I didn't have time to be excited,
Right.
and then it got so busy that I didn't have time to have feelings. I had this big thing. I was like, man, if I ever work for myself, I'm going to go to the cigar bar. I'm going to do quotes. I'm going to do it on my time. Let me tell you right now, business owner wannabes that are wanting to do this, or that are thinking of doing this, throw that shit out the window.
Yeah.
Because that ain't happening. If you're going to be successful, I don't go golfing. I don't go to the bar. I don't go to the cigar bar.
Yep.
I mean, I work, and I come home, take care of the kids, the family, pet the dog, try to get an hour of chill time, rinse and repeat, man.
Well,
that is what it is. So you're not, unless you're doing something different, please coach us, because I'd love to hear it. You ain't spending time on the golf course. There's no time for that kind of stuff.
Not if you want to be successful and squeeze everything out of it.
If you're scaling and you're growing. Somebody texted me this morning, like they're like, I haven't heard from you all morning. Like one of my guys. I'm like, I said I went dark. And he goes, what's that mean? I said, head down, music up, bro.
Yep.
He's like, what's that mean? I'm like, unless you got something you really want to, like, it's all business.
Yeah.
Until Saturday.
Yeah.
We can Saturday, Sunday we can talk, fun stuff, but it's all business. But what kind of, so did you have full support from the family to do this? Any pushback at all?
Yeah, and I'm very grateful for. I mean, my wife is very much like, she's the more analytical, number cruncher, that kind of, but for some reason with this, she was like, you need to go for it.
Yeah.
She definitely was the one that pushed me across the line to go for it. And so I definitely appreciate her.
Yeah.
And there's been many times, I mean, just last year I had 2 projects in Chicago where I was gone for 3 days at a time, you know. So then that leaves her with 2 kids, and she's still working full time and handling all that. So that's a big part of it. I wouldn't be able to do it without her, but she was awesome, supportive, and I got in right away with a good group of, people, and you were one of those people early on, and the Plainfield Chamber has been awesome to me. So I kind of got in with a good network, and that's, entrepreneurship can be lonely if you let it be, because it is all you. And I don't have any employees, or I don't have any other coworkers or partners or anything. It's, so, which I'd love to be able to I love that it is all on me. If it goes well, it was me. And if it doesn't go well, then it was me, and there's something to that it's motivating.
It's hard not to say amen to that one, because that's exactly how I feel about it. Yeah, same here.
Yeah, and it's not just a control thing. It's more of like, every day I'm kind of testing myself, and it's like,
yourself.
Yeah, and now that also sucks when you're sick or like have issues where
your back.
Yeah. So
for the guys that don't know, he's been down for 3 weeks with his back, and I know you guys have been anxiously awaiting more episodes. So this is the first one since he's been back. But
those are lessons to learn too. Everything is, you got to just figure it out.
Are you glad you started when you did, or do you wish you had started sooner?
Yeah, I think about that a lot because part of me wishes I would have, like, even in college, like, gone after video or, gone that route. And because that would have been the learning curve of, like, the video side of it would have been, I would have gotten a lot more skillful, a lot quicker with that side of it. But I do think I studied business in school, and then right out of school, I did ticket sales for the Indiana Fever, did that for 6 years. And so I had the sales part of that training, and then did marketing with Housemaster. So I feel like now when I talk to people about doing video, I have a sales and marketing. That's the way I like to approach it, is from a sales and marketing perspective. Mm-hmm. Like, the videos are going to look good, but there's sales and marketing principles behind it. Yeah. Whereas a lot of people that do what I do went to film school, and they're very technically sound with the film part of it, but maybe don't have the business background. Yeah. So I think it all worked out how it's supposed to.
Yeah, I agree.
So, it's hard to say I would have done it differently, but I wish I would have gotten started with it. I spent a lot of time, like, overthinking, at the beginning of it, and, like, just focusing on little stuff like what to name the business, or, who to go after.
That's the fun part.
Yeah. And I enjoy that part of it, but there's at some point you have to start.
Yeah.
You got to just go for it and then figure out stuff later.
And then the key is never quit.
Yeah.
That's the big key. You've heard me talk about that before. But
yep.
What inspires you to level up every day? Like, I know you want to take it. I mean, every industry is a little bit different.
Yeah.
Construction's different from, like, what you do, and what you do is different from, like, say, I don't know, a lawyer, anything.
Yeah.
But everybody is driven, and there's things that drive them. And it's totally different. But what drives you, and what makes you want to level up?
Yeah. There's a couple. My family is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, want to just provide for them and take financial pressure off of the family, and that's obviously a big motivator. But I really enjoy small businesses and, like, local businesses, and video is one of those things that I think a lot of people know that they need to do, but it's very intimidating if you don't have any background in it, or don't have that, just, like, pull your phone out and start making videos. A lot of people are scared to do it, or they think they should, but it just kind of, it's never a top priority because they're busy. They have their main thing to worry about. So being able to provide that service that, typically would cost a ton of money or require a huge production, I try to provide that as kind of a simple service, turnkey type of thing, because I think it can really help a lot of local businesses, and it's something that they're probably not going to do on their own most of the time.
Yeah.
So and coming from like with my dad having a business, and my mom's always been involved in small businesses a lot, and so that's just always kind of been
do you lean on your dad quite a bit?
Yeah, and obviously he's in a totally different type of business, but
like if you're having a real bad day, or you're like, I don't know what to do with this. Or, tax season. I don't know about you, but quarterly taxes suck.
Yeah. And
I get whacked with tax bills all the time, and I'm like,
my
parents aren't around anymore for me to gripe at. And I'm like, oh, what's that? I'm supposed to be the land of the free here, and I'm paying so much taxes, man. It's crazy. Yeah,
I think with him, it's more, I mean, they've been in business 40 years, so it's, they've seen everything from and a lot of what he deals with is dealing with customers or dealing with employees or those kind of situations. And looking back, I've absorbed probably a lot more than I realized of just things that he's said before, like kind of going back to what we were talking about earlier. People would ask him or even me, like, oh, it must be nice being your own boss, and you can, and he's like, I have like 30 bosses now, it's not, you can make your own schedule. Like that is the best thing about what I do is being able to make my own schedule, being a little bit more in control of when I start and stop work, so I can pick my kids up from school or, be flexible with when we, go visit family out of town or whatever. But you're still held to, the demands of deadlines and all that stuff.
Oh yeah. So. I mean, taking a day off or a week off is nice, but as a business owner, and even if you have a normal job, I mean, you gotta play catch up or overwork to compensate ahead of the game too. But that's what's cool with being an entrepreneur or a business owner.
Yeah,
is every day is different.
Yeah.
You better love rejection. You better love people being rude to you. You better love just all of it. It's all coming at you, and you got to be able to deal with it.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I would tell a young starting out entrepreneurs, be able to learn how to hear no.
Yeah.
Because you're going to hear no a lot, and that's really when sales starts.
Yeah.
For the salespeople out there.
Right.
Otherwise, you're an order taker.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, they'll just you go work at Ace Hardware, and you'll be an order taker. But but otherwise, that rejection piece, that the negative side of it, you got to learn how to cope with that and be okay with it.
Yeah, and you kind of got to be you got to be a little bit of a jack of all trades.
Yeah.
You got to know a little bit about sales, a little bit about marketing, just like you were talking about taxes. And there's certain things, like I have a CPA that I work with for the tax stuff. And like you can, have certain other partners that kind of help with pieces of it, but you kind of got to know enough to know whether they're doing a good job or whether, you need to ask for help about something. So, but it's fun. I like that part of it.
That's interesting. You said partners. I've never thought to ask this before. Have you ever thought of getting into business with someone? Because I've never considered it.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why. I'm just interested on your take of it.
Yeah.
I'm not asking you to go into business, I promise.
No. No, I've never considered it.
I don't know that I'd want to.
Yeah. I think that I would have people that I would partner up with on like a certain project or
that. Yeah.
Like there's certain projects where I could have a second shooter or have somebody that focuses on photos while I do video, like for events and stuff. But as far as running the business, I just don't think it works most of the time.
I think on larger business, we just had Jeff Long.
Yeah.
I think that's perfect for what they're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, they're scaling statewide.
Right.
We're in more of a micro area in business, but I think it's almost probably normal for his industry.
Yeah, I would say so too.
And what a wonderful company that's becoming too.
Yeah.
They're doing a great job. But it goes back to that day one of starting. It's all on my shoulders.
Yeah.
I love that, man. My favorite place to be, my absolute favorite place to live is my back against the wall.
Yeah.
And haters coming at me.
Yeah.
And I love it. I've been the most comfortable with that. When people are screaming at me, all that. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I really, really don't. But I just listen. I don't even react. I let them get it all out.
Yep.
And I'm like, you feel better? Normally they do.
Yeah.
And then you just assess the situation and move forward. But your industry, I mean, you've got to sell it. You've got to produce it. You've got to do all the things. So
but I think that that's one of the things that I like about it, and it's on purpose because I like being the person that when they call, I'm the person that answers. I'm the person that hears what they're trying to accomplish. I am the one that sends them the quote and lays out kind of the plan. Then I'm the one that shows up on shoot day. I'm the one that's there actually shooting it. And then when it gets into the editing process, I'm the one editing it. I'm the one delivering it to them. So if they have feedback, it's coming straight to me. Like there's no part of it that's handed off to somebody else. So like from the moment that I start working with somebody, it's the same person all the way through. And there's not a lot of businesses where that is the case, where from start to finish, it's just the same person. So nothing gets lost in translation. Like I know exactly what their vision is for it. Now it does put a bottleneck in it. Like I can only do so much and so many projects at a time, but
you're building quality, not quantity right now.
Yeah.
So your next hurdle potentially could be, if you're going to scale and get bigger, is how can I keep doing this and keep the quality?
Yeah.
And ramp up production,
right,
revenue, all the things. I think a lot of the outside world looks at business owners like, well, they're scaling because they want to make more money. Yeah. That's not the case.
Right.
I mean, if that's what you think, you're not. That's not why they do that.
That's a byproduct usually.
It is. And I don't know how you run yours. I have a pretty good idea. But I always reinvest back into the business. I don't pay myself very much.
Yeah.
Because I do want to scale and grow and do other things like this. This is a byproduct of Basham Construction. I've wanted to do this for quite some time.
Yeah.
Thanks to you, you were the tipping point of that. But it's not to become that. I mean, it could be a byproduct. It's not always a byproduct.
Right.
But I like that whole piece of we're working for ourselves. We're not being told. I used to live in that world for years.
Yeah.
And I go into these people's houses now, and they're tied to a computer. I've got to call at 2. I've got to be here at 2. I'm like, man, I don't miss that at all.
Yeah.
I've had to do a few Zoom meetings just because of designers and stuff like that. That's fine. But I'm like, we're getting ready to do a big project on the Magnolia Network.
Oh, yeah.
And that's got to be like in the front of there, and I hate it. It takes me back to I have PSD on. I don't want to, because I would just wear a nice shirt and gym shorts underneath, man. I'd stand, they'd catch you. I hate that life. I like being out and about, running and gunning and doing things. So, no. Let's talk hunting for a minute.
Yeah.
Let's change things up. Did you ever kill any ducks this year?
I haven't done anything this year.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
I feel like a poser. I do.
Yeah.
I made Brooklyn go out with me. I said, hey, I need your help. We got to put the blind on the boat.
Yep.
Bo and I are going to go duck hunting. She's like, all right. She goes, bet. Let's go.
Yeah.
So we go out there, and she's lifted this. It's all metal. We got to get it lined up, and I got to bolt it in and check it out. She's like, this is pretty cool. When you guys going? I said, I don't know. Season's over now. We didn't go.
Yeah.
Bo did kill. We heard that on Jeff's podcast, but he killed a couple deer.
Yeah.
That was a good thing. But
that's awesome.
I still think we need to go out duck hunting.
Yeah.
Next year.
Yeah.
We do a podcast while we duck hunt.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
Be like, hold on here. I think it would be kind of cool. We could
we could definitely
maybe we get our own hunting show.
There you go.
Maybe this is all for that. We're all doing this. Jeff, if you're listening, get back in here. We're all doing this for our own hunting show.
Yeah.
And that's our calling.
Yeah. There's always been a part of me that is like in the back of my mind, like that would be a cool way to like, I don't know that it'd be full time, but a cool type of project to add into is like go with hunters. If like, I know there's some people that do it, but guys that get like a tag, like go to like Montana or somewhere, like a once in a lifetime, you get drawn out of the lottery that they have to go and do elk hunting or whatever. And like, they want to capture that whole experience,
That would be awesome.
So you go out there and just film it for them, have them mic'd up. And there's guys out in like Montana and those places that's their full-time thing is they film hunts for people.
Well, Mike Waddell, I would follow him all the time.
Yeah.
He was just on Rogan. That guy, if you guys don't like hunting, or if you want to, just check out Mike Waddell.
Yeah.
He is a cool dude. He's
from
Georgia. Yeah. He knows everybody. And I'm being dead serious. I bet we could get him on this podcast.
Yeah, possibly.
I mean, we'll see if we can do it.
Sure.
Let's see if we can do it. I bet he would come. We might have to go to him.
Yeah.
But he's that kind of guy. He's a cool dude. He's killed more deer than you've drank bottles of water. I mean, the guy's he's awesome. He's just awesome.
Yeah.
But that's how he started. I mean, when he got into the hunting industry, it was nothing. It was VHS at best.
Yeah.
And he followed Bill Jordan, Realtree, all them guys. And Bill Jordan, he really ramped up the hunting industry, in my opinion.
Yeah.
There's a lot that I'm forgetting too, but Waddell, he's got his own. I think it's Bone Collector now. He's his own person, his own entity. But that's how he kind of got started doing videography and Bill Jordan, obviously, like I said before. But yeah, you could do that. I got another idea. We're gonna have Francisco on from La Presa. Hopefully, he is. In my opinion, is one of the best Mexican restaurants in Central Indiana.
Yeah.
But his mindset is so interesting. And he's like, hey, buddy. He talks like that.
Yeah.
He's buddy. He's like, I want to do more stuff on the face. He calls Facebook the face. I said, well, I took it as far as I could go. I helped you get your I didn't do the website, but I helped you get that kind of stuff going. I said, but I'm going to introduce you to Jeff.
Yeah.
And he goes, okay. I think we should do his podcast at the restaurant. I think it'd be neat. But I said, people want to see food being made.
Yeah.
People want to see you take that huge bucket of tortillas and dump them in the whatever, the warmer thing, all that stuff. And really, from a business owner that doesn't know much about marketing, they probably think that's super expensive.
Yeah.
And I'm here to tell you it's affordable.
Yeah.
And the bang for your buck is very well worth it.
Well, and it's like people think, well, nobody cares what I do or nobody wants to hear my story. But I mean, people think about like reality television or like some of the people you see on, social media, they're just talking about their daily life and people sit and watch it for hours, and I think as humans, we're just naturally like curious about other people's lives. And when it comes, I mean, I'll sit and watch people mow the grass, like those videos where people are mowing and it's just like a time lapse that stuff is fascinating.
I time lapsed a little road trip I took to Southern Indiana. It was an hour down, hour back, and there's this cool road that I take every time.
Yeah.
And I do it for myself because I'm like, the time lapse is like 30 seconds, but the trip was 30 minutes.
That's cool.
And I'm like, oh, I wonder if I saw Bigfoot, something stupid like that. But I think people are drawn to that. That's obviously why TV was invented.
Yeah.
I think TV, quite frankly, is a thing of the past.
Yeah.
It's more reality and what are you doing? And like I said, a lot of times you don't even need to hear it. You just want to see it.
And going back to what you were saying about like the Mexican restaurant, like most people aren't going to work in a Mexican restaurant in their life, but it's kind of interesting to see like what happens behind the scenes, or how certain things are made. You just see it come out on a plate. But I think people are fascinated by how things are put together and jobs that they'll never have, you know, how that
I also think there's value just seeing other businesses spend the money on marketing.
Yeah.
I think it says a lot for the businesses. There's a bunch of other contractors around here,
and
I love them all. They may not love me, I don't know, but I look at all of us like brothers in a way. And like Bobby, what he's doing, I think it's so cool. Like he does some cool stuff. He's commented on some of my stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the big hater club, man. I mean, I'd walk right over there and shake his hand and sit down for 30 minutes and have a cigar with it, stuff like that. It's I think we got to get back to that.
There's plenty of work for everybody.
Heck yes, this whole hate mentality, cancel mentality. I was just at the home show.
Oh yeah.
I'm not gonna say names, but I ran into a competitor and just like acted like, what the hell are you doing here? I'm like, I'm just saying hi, bro. It wasn't that deep, but I could sense it is like a little. I wasn't uncomfortable at all. But I'm like, we should be able to be civil. We're from the same town, dude.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
But I kind of smile and let it roll off. It's another chip on the shoulder.
Right.
So thank you for that. But there's just the opportunity, the growth for your business is just, it's sky's the limit. So which avenue do you feel like is better for you? Is it literally the longer, like the bigger construction companies, the out of town stuff, or is it just you taking it as it comes?
Yeah, I mean, what I always tell people is the best client for me is somebody that has a service or a product. Mostly it's services though, and that something that's complicated or confusing to somebody. So like medical field is one that I would like to do more of, because I think there's big opportunity for doctors or, you know, chiropractors or anybody that does something that most people don't understand how that works.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're going to trust somebody, you know, thinking about like if I have to have a back surgery, like watching that surgeon talk about the procedure or explaining how it works ahead of time, like just anything like that where there's something complicated, even in your world, you know, if somebody's going to come in and tear apart your kitchen and they're going to have workers coming in and out of their house, and that's a personal, you know, your home is your safe space. And so any kind of home services, businesses, anybody that's going to come into your home, you know, people that are more informed are going to be a better customer for you. So the more that you can inform them how your service works, or who's going to be showing up there, what's going to be step one, what's going to be step two, because that just eases their mind, you know, and the best way to do that is having a conversation, but that's, you know, not very practical to do on a big scale. But if you can make a video that shows, here's how this is going to work, that just gives somebody that much more education about what they're buying or potentially going to pay for. And it just levels up the professionalism of your business and makes you look like you know what you're doing, and positions you as that expert. Yeah. So I would say that's kind of a long answer to what you asked, but with construction, that's a big part of it too, is like, you know, people want to see the process. They want to see what's going to happen and what it's going to kind of the end result.
And you do have a great process. Do you find that all customers or some customers or hardly any customers like have a plan? Do they put it all in your lap?
It depends.
Because that can be daunting.
Yeah. I mean, I just had a call with somebody today about a new project, and he was like, this is what I want. I want this type of video. I want it to be this long. I'm going to use it for a Facebook ad. Like, he knew exactly what he wanted, and even already had like some scripting done. And I'm like, okay. And, but some people come to me and they're like, I have no idea what even type of video to make. I feel like I should make some videos, but I have no clue. And I'm happy I can work with anybody from either end of that spectrum.
I remember our first video with Carrie. She was so nervous. And I probably was too. Yeah. I can't even forget which one it was. She goes, so where's the script? I said, there ain't none. She's like, well, he'll tell us what to say. Right. I said, I don't think that's how this works. She looked at me, she's like, well, what do you want me to say? I was like, lady, I don't know. I've never done this before either. So we went in there, and I said, I'm just going to start talking like I normally talk to her, like I explain stuff. And I said, just chime in when you can. Yep. I said, there's no right or wrong. I said, and that's how we did it. Yeah. And then I think the last like big one she was in was the other one.
There's a kitchen.
Yeah.
I think.
Anyway, there was like a little peep door, I think.
Oh, yeah,
We threw some comedy into it a little bit, I thought. And I thought that was a little bit better. Yeah. But hell, anymore, you don't know what people want. Yeah. So I stopped catering to that. Like, we're going to do this. Yeah. And if y'all like it, great. And then comment on it. Yeah. And let us know what you like, what you don't like, what you want to see, and we'll cater to that. But otherwise we're throwing darts on the wall.
I think having a general idea of to me, the best videos are you have a general idea of what you want to do or what you want to accomplish with the video, but then, and you can have some rough scripting of like maybe some outline, like bullet points if there's certain topics, but unless you're doing a training video where you have to hit word for word specific things, I think it's best to just kind of wing it, because especially in this world of AI, becoming a new thing with video, I think more and more people just crave authentic, real. Like even if you watch an AI video, I mean, they're getting really good, but
they're kind of creepy good.
They are, but there's still something, I think, internally where if it's a real person or not.
My kids can spot it a mile away.
Yeah. And that's going to continue to get better, and that, and I think there's a place for that, but I think there's always going to be a place for having the real person on camera talking. And, I think so going off script or just kind of winging it a little bit I think there's value to that. Even if you mess up a little bit or it's not perfect, I think there can be value there.
Do you know Mike Rowe? Yeah.
Yeah.
He's another guy that would pop in here. He's that kind of guy. I've met him twice. And
Really?
He's a great dude.
Yeah, he seems like it.
His voice is like you could hear it a mile away.
Yeah.
It's so cool. And when he's right in front of you, like I was closer, like, and he's not a huge guy.
Yeah.
But his voice
Yeah.
makes him sound like he's 8 foot tall.
Yeah.
And he's got this awesome voice and blah blah blah. He could just anyway.
Yeah, he does the deadliest catch, like
he's that
narration.
way. He's like, just be yourself, even if it sucks.
Yeah.
Just be yourself, right? And that's how he got started.
Mm-hmm.
You just can't be afraid to fail. I think that's really the secret sauce. Is not being afraid to fail, or don't be afraid to look dumb. Because guess what? We all do at times,
right?
Whether we like to admit it or not. But
yeah.
I think that's kind of the secret sauce.
I agree, and that's something I always admire about you is like you'll just jump into something, and I tend to be a little more like I overthink stuff, and I'll get the once I'm ready, like I'll jump in, I'll go for it, but I'm gonna do a lot of research. I'm gonna think about it for longer than I should, and I not that you're not calculated, but you're a lot more willing to just be like, let's start it and then figure it out.
I also just learned today that I'm 11 years older than you. So there's a little bit of experience in terms of I found value. I guess I always found value in failing.
Yeah.
Even when I was 10 years old, I mean, and my kids are so sick of hearing this. But I had a full-time job when I was 10. I drove my four-wheeler, which you can't do that these days, 7 miles of the country, scooped hog shit, went to school at 8.
Yeah.
Played football, went back to the farm. All summer long, I'm doing stuff. That's how I was born.
Yeah.
That's how I am.
Yeah. That's hard work.
I like to work.
Yeah.
I love to work.
Yeah.
It's my favorite thing to do. But that being said, I'm getting older, and I found that it was quicker to just go do it.
Yeah.
And to fail and to be like, oh, man, now I got to tear all this siding off this house.
Yeah.
That's how you learn.
Yeah.
You ain't going to do that more than once.
Right.
You're not going to re-roof the wrong house more than once. I've done that before, too. I mean, you name it, I've probably done it. Mike Cody, if it wasn't for Mike Cody, I mean, I failed more times with him, and that guy was so patient on Saturday. He's like, meet me here on Saturday morning. I'm going to show you what you got to do.
Yeah.
And he'd always pay me. He wasn't like that. But he's like, this looks like dog crap. Rip it all off and do it again.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh. And I wouldn't do it intentional.
Yeah.
But he would let me fail.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, there's some power in that. So when I see my kids, I'm like, you're dicking up. And I'm smiling like, what do you get? I'm like, go till you can't anymore. I'll tell you what you did wrong. And then they figure it out.
That's a hard thing. I struggle with that as a parent, like letting your kids mess up. It's hard.
I mean, to each their own.
Yeah.
But it's, in my opinion, that's better in college.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It is.
And it's funny you bring that up. Like looking back, I mean, I always had some kind of little business going. I mean, my buddy Nate, he and I lived real close to each other, and we had a little lawn mowing business. We couldn't even drive yet, and we would go to his mom's house. She lived in a neighborhood, and we had a lawnmower, and we would push. We'd go to door to door, push and ring people's doorbells and ask if they needed their lawn mowed, and we messed up so many times with that.
Oh yeah.
And we always had little businesses like that going on, and most of them failed miserably. But those are the kind of things that you don't realize at the time, but like later on, those lessons are in there that you.
Yeah. So like mowing the yard.
Yeah.
People that cut hair, people that paint house or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just using those three as an example. I mean, what's the worst that could happen?
Yeah.
You scalp some dude's yard. He's pissed for a week. It grows back.
Yeah.
And you do it again, right? Same thing with cutting hair. Every time I get my hair cut, I tend to like float around for some reason. I haven't found I have. It's just I have to schedule it.
Yeah.
But anyway, you can screw up my hair, so what? I always tell them, what's the worst going to happen?
Yeah.
I mean, it'll grow back.
Yep.
Or it won't, and I'll be bald. Either way, I'm fine with it. Painting, like I almost went into the painting industry hardcore.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, oh my gosh, well, what if you paint well, did you repaint the damn wall? Like, it's not that deep.
Yep.
If I built a huge bridge and it failed, that's a problem.
Right. Yeah.
But these things aren't that big a deal.
Yeah.
You learn, you rinse, repeat, and you get better. That's the mindset of it.
That's funny you say that, because that's one of the things I very quickly, when I started my business, I remember talking to my wife, and I used to get real nervous. Like I'd have a shoot coming up, and like when I hadn't done a lot of it yet. And I was like, I'd get so nervous. And then one day it hit me and I was like, worst case, I just give them their money back. If it doesn't turn out well, if they're so mad that the video didn't go well, I just give them their money back. And there's no harm in that. That's why I don't do weddings, because there is no redoing
weddings would be tough. Yeah. Weddings would be tough. But there is fun. That is one of my relief valves. It's nobody's ever done it yet, but I mean, the worst case, I won't charge you.
Yeah.
I mean,
and everything's fixable.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
There's not much in this world that's not. And I think people, I say that a lot.
Yeah.
Maybe we all just need to take a step back and smell the roses.
Yeah.
You know, and be thankful for what we got, where we're at, how we got where we're at, and you know, take a minute, appreciate it, and move on. And keep growing. I know, like, I don't want to ever become stagnant or complacent. I used to live that way. In my 30s, I was that way.
Yeah.
I worked for a lot of other organizations. Well, a few, not a lot. And I'd get, I was a sales guy, so I'd ramp up my sales. I'd sell my year quota by July, August, right? And I'd take the rest of the year just kind of float. Then I'd hit it hard in December. I'm like, I got to have my January, February pretty loaded.
Right, yeah.
So I knew how to work the game, the sales game. And my salesman, Al Hallen,
oh, yeah.
He was one of them. He figured it out. He's like, I just need to sell all the time. So we would,
Yeah.
But some of that stuff, you got the economy, you got, there's several things that dictate people buying. But, yeah. So what's some of the goals for 2025?
Yeah, I mean, I think, last year, I mean, I've only had a couple years, but it was the best year I've had.
24 was?
24 was, yeah. And what I realized is I kind of hit the maximum number of projects I could do at one time. So now it's like, okay, if I can only do that many projects, I need to dial in which ones I want to do and do more of those that are, higher paying and also the ones I enjoy, and not spend so much time on real little stuff that, and I'm sure you've run into this too, but it's like the smallest stuff, or the not small, and I'll work with anybody, but the projects where it's like, $100 here or $200 there, those are the ones that end up taking so much time. And I've got some projects that are multiple, thousands of dollars, and that I send the video like, looks great.
Yeah.
And there's no feedback.
Yeah.
Like they just want it done, and it's done.
Well, I wonder if the expectations were set up well up front.
Yeah,
and that's this is what I want. And having customers know what you want is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
It's also a beautiful thing when they don't exactly know what you want, because then you can help coach them and say, hey, we've done these, whatever you're working on, this in the past. We had great luck with it. We did this. We didn't have good luck with it.
Yeah.
And there's beauty in both of it. But I think the customers, like you were just talking about, they already trust you. They already know what they're going to get.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I just send you an address. I tell you we're starting the job.
Yep.
And when we're done, you send me this beautiful video. I'm like, holy cow, this is great.
Yeah.
It's because you've built that relationship and trust.
Yeah.
And when you get, X amount of customers that are that way, it makes your job so much more enjoyable.
Yeah.
A lot more efficient, a lot more profitable. And everybody, it's great.
Yeah.
Then you can start scaling which direction you want to go.
Yeah, and every job, I joke with my wife all the time. It's like, at some point, I would love to just have a project that's the same as a project I've done previously. I know, I do similar ones, but there's always some element that's like a little bit different than what I've done before.
You'll get there for sure.
Yeah, and it's getting to the point now where and that's what I want, is be able to have some kind of a menu of service. Like, these are the things that I do because I've done tons of them. I know exactly how they're priced. I know exactly how they're going to function and how it's going to work. And then I can set the expectations perfectly with somebody and say, this is how many days it's going to take. This is how long it's going to take to edit and deliver it, and kind of get more of those repeatable services that are consistent. Because, some people hit me up and like, I want to do this. I need a video for this random thing. It's like, I've never done that before. So then I have to figure out how to price it, how long it's going to take, so the more that I can kind of dial in that, like, those set types of videos that I do, I think it's a better experience for everybody, because I know exactly what I'm doing, and then I can give them that expectation and hit that or exceed that expectation, and then they're happy, and Not that I won't always take on like custom stuff, because that's fun too, and that's a good way for me to learn and keep kind of pushing myself to grow into different things. But I want to do more of the same types of projects just to kind of have that consistency built up.
Have you ever what you do in like TV, has that ever crossed yet, or do you anticipate it ever meeting or crossing?
Not really. I mean, there's a chance somebody would want to use a video as like a commercial and something. No, not really.
And then like the editing aspect of it, that's probably the most daunting, time consuming.
Yeah, that's the bottleneck in I can shoot 5 days a week, 6 days a week, but.
Do you think AI will help with that?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of AI tools that I use that just kind of help speed up different parts of the process. And I have on occasion outsourced pieces of editing to people to help with editing. I've never sent up an entire project to somebody to edit for me, but if there's certain things that aren't like critical, they're just little tasks within the editing process, I'll have people do that to kind of speed things up. And I think I'll be able to do more of that, especially as the more consistent I get with projects. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot. I don't know that AI would fully ever take over. Maybe it will, but
they're spending a lot of money to supposedly in Texas to.
Yeah,
I just don't understand all that stuff yet. I just don't.
Yeah,
maybe I'm too old for that.
It's coming whether we're ready for it or not.
Bo is all he understands it.
Yeah,
that kid's wanting to get into cybersecurity, and
that's awesome.
Whatever, he's got some lofty goals. So does Brooklyn.
Yeah, that's good.
She doesn't want to get into cybersecurity. She wants to do what Taylor Swift's doing and theater and all that stuff, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Do you think 25 is your year for adding an employee? Or let me before I ask that.
Yeah.
Do you have fear? Because I already know how I would answer this.
Yeah.
Do you have fear hiring somebody, knowing you got to make sure there's work for them and all that?
I don't know if I necessarily have fear about it, but there's
anxiety about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think before I would do that, I would contract people to help as needed, or use like somebody that's learning, like an intern, obviously paid, but somebody that wants to learn and get hands-on experience and like utilize that as a person to help on a shoot or something. But I don't know that I would. Part of my goal when I first started the business, and it's always kind of been in the background, is just keeping things as simple as possible. Trying not to overcomplicate what I'm, services that I'm providing, or like pricing. Like that was one of the big things I ran into when I first was just trying to figure out, how do I price a video? Like, what is that worth to somebody? And, that, I still struggle on occasion in figuring out like the exact right way to price things. But what I figured out is the industry as a whole is very much based on like hourly rates. Mm-hmm. So like if you went to film school and you're going to go shoot something for somebody, there's a, day rates, and that's kind of what like the film industry, like if you're going to go work on a movie, they're based on day rates or half day rates. Some people charge like a gear, like they'll charge a fee based on what gear they're going to bring. Mm-hmm. And some of that's based on if they have to rent equipment or whatever. But most people like that own a small business, they don't care about, I don't care what kind of camera you're using, or they just want the end product.
It's so funny you say that. I'm in construction, and people are always wanting to know, well, what are your rates, or what are this and that? And I'm like, honestly, I've been doing this on my own. I've been in construction all my life, but on my own for over 5 years now. Yeah, which is not a long time. And year 1 sucked. Year 2 sucked. Year 3 sucked. Year 4 sucked because of pricing.
Yeah.
I'm dealing with some right now. I've got a couple of huge projects going right now.
Yeah.
One just finished. One we're in the middle of, and pricing's coming up all of a sudden.
Yeah.
One was an insurance job. One's just a huge project that they kept adding scope of work, and I'm like, well, this is where we're gonna be at the end, and this is where we're at. And a lot of people get a little price sensitive in the middle of a project.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where's this coming from? The other project I was talking about is a claim from an insurance company.
Okay.
And the homeowners have I'm not mad at them at all. But from my perspective, it can get a little frustrating because I'm not an insurance guy. Like, I'm not an insurance I just don't do insurance work.
Yeah.
many reasons.
Yeah.
They go on the cheap on everything.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's not who I am. I'm
Yeah.
not the most expensive by a long shot, and I'm not the cheapest by a long shot.
Yeah.
But after 5 solid years of getting my teeth kicked in, losing money, I mean, it'd blow your mind just punch list stuff. I throw quite a bit of money in punch lists.
Yeah.
Because people don't have a clue. That adds up quickly.
Oh, yeah.
So every job, I wash out every job and I analyze it and I make notes. So the next job, I'm like, well, we probably ought to add a little fat here and maybe take a little out of here.
Yeah.
To gain competitiveness. That's why we're busy.
Yeah.
Because we are super competitive.
Yeah.
I can't control some of these prices.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, I can look customers in the eye. I'm like, I am not getting rich on you.
Right.
I can assure you that. The other guys that you said no to that were twice my price, they're trying to get rich on you.
Yeah.
So don't put me in that bucket.
Yeah.
We are not all the same.
Yeah.
Like, I hope people hear that. We're not all the same.
Yeah, and you're in I mean, what you do is a lot different than me because I don't have to worry about material and those kind of variables. I mean, most of what I'm charging for is my time, you know.
But it's still the principle's the same.
Yeah.
People will look at something and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I wouldn't pay that." Well, have you ever done it?
Yeah.
You know, have you ever shot a video, edited it, figured out my land, setting this podcast up? You and I did it together.
Yeah.
Well, let me rephrase that. I sat there and watched you do it. I don't know to this day. I don't think I probably could figure it out, but it's not my thing.
Yeah.
So, and I know you and I have this is kind of unique, and I don't mind talking about it.
Yeah.
Like, we have yet to set a value on this podcast.
Right.
I've given you a little bit here and there because of guilt, I think. And I'm like, I at least need to do something here.
But it's value to me to have somebody that I can, you know, like when you start something, you have to work through the kinks and stuff. So,
but I think you know what I'm saying. It's at some point, you can't be afraid. Now, there's some people, I'm not going to name names, in my industry that everybody just wants to go off of square footage.
Yeah.
I had a carpenter that used to work with me.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, went on Google and it's X amount of square foot. I'm like, well, I ain't paying you that.
Yeah.
I don't know what Google you're on, but I'm going to get on a different Google, whatever. I said, I don't do anything by the square footage.
Yeah. That's the same concept that I'm talking about. It's like some people want to know what's your hourly rate to shoot. It's like that. There's so many factors that are involved. You can't just go with an hourly rate.
We're scaling a business.
Yeah.
Especially you new people out there. I would not be expensive.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't be. It's kind of like you'll go to the date one time. Like people aren't going to do that time and time again.
Yeah.
When you're ramping up, starting something new, it is imperative that you got to be affordable.
Yeah, and you got to get reps too.
You got to get reps
because there's just certain things you can't. And I mean, before I even started, I mean, I was on YouTube constantly, like learning all these different things with video because I had done video, but I'm self-taught, so I didn't go to film school. So there's a lot of little things you have to figure out, and you know, as I got going, it's like there's things every job I have little notes in my phone like, okay, next time I do this, I need to tweak this setting or try this different thing. And you just can't get that anywhere else until you start doing it. And a lot of people would say, you know, you shouldn't do free work when you're like, that's a kind of a common thing in the video or photo world. Is like, you know, you'll have seasoned pros like you should never do free work. But I got some of my biggest clients from not necessarily always doing free work, but you know, I have one client that it's kind of a weird story, but I was at a job, this big construction site, and I was there to film one company and doing some excavating work. And I had the drone in the air, I was flying, and I got really good footage, and there were some other excavators kind of like further down. It was in the Broad Ripple Canal, and they didn't give me any instruction on like where they were going to be working. So I showed up, I saw their crew, and so I shot some other footage of these other excavators, and I delivered the video. And he's like, "I love the video, man, but some of that's not us. Like there's another company in the footage." And I was like, okay, so I cut that out of his, and then I already had all this footage. I'd already edited everything. So I figured out what company it was, and I sent them the video just cold. No, I didn't know anybody there. I just emailed and I was like, hey, you know, it's kind of funny. I accidentally shot some video of your crews. They're probably wondering why there was a drone flying around, but So I sent that to them, and they came back and they're like, "Oh, this is amazing. We've been wanting to do some stuff."
That's awesome.
And so I've worked with them. They're one of my biggest customers now, and I'm doing a project that's like a 2-year project with them, and it all came from me sending it to them for free.
That is,
so that kind of
gold. And you've never told me that before.
Yeah, that's been a kind of a recent one, but I've got a couple of stories like that where I did some free stuff for people, and then it turns into this huge thing. And so you have to get those reps early on to know how to do things. I hate charging anybody for something that I don't feel confident I can deliver quality.
Yeah, and I want to be sensitive too. A lot of times you can throw something out there and it could be like, holy crap, what are you smoking here?
Yeah.
I don't want to belittle so whoever's listening, don't twist it. I don't want to belittle like what you do.
Yeah.
Or I don't want to say there's not validity to it or it's not worth it, right?
Yeah.
But I'm speaking to the people that are starting something.
Yeah.
Especially if you're in it for the long haul. And I can tell it year one if somebody's going to be in it for the long haul or not. I mean, you can just see it.
Yeah.
But I really feel you got to run lean and mean, and you got to be super affordable.
Yep.
And you got to build confidence with the customer, saying, "Hey, I've got your back. No matter what happens, we're gonna make this happen for you."
Yeah.
And you can even tell them, "Hey, I'm a little new here.
Yeah.
I've got experience. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But there's some parts of it that I'm not sure of yet. And I would just appreciate your patience.
Yeah.
Help me learn. If you see something, I love criticism.
Yeah.
Tell me what it is." And then make those adjustments. I think when people see that vulnerable side of you, they want to do business.
Absolutely.
With you.
Yeah.
And then that's the beauty.
That's huge.
It's like I want to help Jeff get this thing off the ground because I'm a part of it now too, right?
Yeah. That you can play the new card for a while, and people like you said, people want to help somebody that's trying to do something or trying to grow, and that was a valuable thing that I learned. I don't know what, at one point in the last couple of years, I learned that like just communicating is a huge piece of it. It can save so much drama and people being frustrated. If like I've had a couple projects where things have happened where editing has gotten delayed, and before I would just like keep my head down, keep editing, trying to get it done, and then all of a sudden I get that email, "Hey, when's the project? I thought you were gonna have this done this week or whatever." And then I have to be like, well, I have to explain it. But what I figured out is if something does come up that's unforeseen, and I just shoot a quick note like, "Hey, I thought we were going to have this done today. It's going to be a couple more days." Most people are totally cool. They just want to be informed. They just want to know what's going on. They're not sitting in the dark. So I try to keep people updated as much as possible, even when it's going to be bad news or like if it's going to be longer than what we originally thought. And there's usually a good reason for it, but they don't, unless you tell them, they don't know. And they're just sitting there like, "Oh, he's, not working on it." So
I feel like society in general has really gotten a little more anxious.
Yeah.
And that's not a dig. I think we all have gotten a little more anxious. It's probably because I don't even know what it is. Maybe.
Yeah.
I hate to blame social media. I really do.
Yeah.
I don't think that's it either.
Yeah.
But I think people are just a little anxious.
Yeah.
And for no reason.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that is. I stay up at night thinking about it. I'm like, why are people so pressed all the time? I mean, things don't go my way hardly ever. And I'm happy as hell.
Yeah.
Because I figured life out a little bit. Like there's way more to life than money. There's way more than all that shit. Yeah. There's so much more to it. And that's why we're building this little, I call it an empire, man. Yeah. All these people that are coming on this podcast is family. Yeah. I'm not having people just to have people. Right. You noticed that. Yeah. Everybody that's been on, they mean something to me. Yeah. And they challenge me. And they make me want to get better. I'm not jealous of their success either. Right. I'm like, dude, I'm happy. I'm probably happier for you than you are for you. Right. If I'm being genuine. Yeah. And 15, 20 years ago, I was not that way. Yeah. I had to learn that. Yeah. I learned it. Yeah. My mother was that way. She was always that way. My dad probably wasn't, but my dad and I are a lot alike that way. Yeah. But it's something you learn, and to be truly happy for somebody, there's a lot of inner happiness that comes out from that people don't realize. I'm not a big karma guy. I'm not a big whatever, all that stuff. But I do believe in, like Andy Frisella says it better than anybody. He's like, I am genuinely happy for you. And he
Yeah.
says the universe, he's a big believer in
Yeah.
God too. He's like, but God will reward you for that. And I'm like, I do believe that.
Yeah.
But if you stay up and you're like, man, I hope that guy's blah, blah, fails or whatever,
Yeah.
I don't think you get rewarded for that.
Yeah.
I really don't. I think that aura follows you.
I think, yeah, to your point, I agree with you. And I don't think it's something where it's like, oh, if you do this, you're going to get this reward,
No.
but it's your mindset.
It's a
so
mindset.
then when you go out and operate in the world, you're operating from that mindset, and that people gravitate towards that.
Yeah.
And you'll naturally just have good things happen because you're operating that way.
Like I said, again, I won't say his last name, but if he listens, he'll know who he is. Bobby. I love what he does, man.
Yeah.
But we're different. We're in the same industry.
Yeah.
We have a lot of the same passions outside of swinging a hammer.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a cool, interesting guy.
Yeah.
We just happen to do similar things. And whenever he does something, I'm like, dude, that is freaking awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't think of, you know what I mean? And
Yeah,
vice versa.
yeah.
He's called me too.
Yeah.
I think that is probably the best place to be with your competitors is good friends, man.
Yeah.
Just like, hey, man, I remember I'll share this story too. Somebody's on social media, something blew out of a trailer, blah, 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 and they're bashing this specific company. I hopped right on there and I said, hey, I know these people. I stuck up for them. I'm like, I know these people. I know them well.
Yeah.
I said, I have trailers too, and shit flies out of them. You don't know who put stuff in there the night before, right? We get inherited a lot of trash all the time. So back off and quit dissing on these people.
Yeah.
It's a freaking or get out and grab the damn piece of trash. I know these people aren't doing that on purpose.
Right.
So we need more of that community.
Yeah.
Let's stick up for one another. We don't have to hate on people. That's the culture I'm trying to break. And I see it happening, but I think we got a ways to go.
Yeah.
It's going to take all of us to figure that
That's
part
a
of it
good point.
out.
Yeah. Like we've lost the ability to look at somebody's intent. You know,
Yeah.
they didn't intend for something to fly out of their trailer.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
But they'll get on behind a keyboard and, those people, I love those people too because there's a place for them. There's a lot of growth.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things they could change about themselves.
Yeah.
And we've all been there, I'm sure. But
that is the negative side of social media is that everybody is so quick to just comment on something because they want to jump in and, be a part of the conversation. But,
I've actually, there's some things I've got on there and I actually type it out. I'm like, and I delete it.
Who's that for? Yeah.
Yeah. It's that check.
Yeah.
It's that mental check. Like, this isn't going to help nobody.
Yeah.
And I don't even read the comments anymore. That's not my own idea. I learned that.
Yeah.
And it's the right thing. I rarely will get in the comments.
Yeah.
And if I do, you probably mean something to me.
Yeah.
Like I'm proud of you or whatever. But
Yeah.
because I think if you get too self-absorbed. I tell my kids this all the time. Like Brooklyn, she's beautiful and she's a freshman in high school, and Bo's he's dropped a lot of weight. He looks real good, So every time they get ready at school and they're ready to walk out the door, they're all like, "Oh, my hair." I'm like, nobody gives a shit about that. And they look at me like that. I'm like, I know this is the most important part of your life.
Yeah.
But the reality is, you look great, man.
Yeah.
Just don't be so self-absorbed that you can't leave the house.
Yeah.
Okay. There's going to be days you may not feel the best. Dude, I've been overweight most of my life. I work hard at it. I'm 262 right now as I sit. I got a ways to go.
Yeah.
But that doesn't keep me from going to the gym. That doesn't keep me from Jeff putting this camera right on me looking like a frog in the chair. I'm still going to keep pressing on because it's not about me.
Yeah.
Would I love to look like The Rock? And not really.
Yeah.
I'd like to look like Jeff. He's a handsome son of a gun. But we got to less us
Yeah.
and more others.
That's something that I think about a lot I've gotten to meet your kids, and obviously they've been on the podcast and stuff, and I admire the way that you parent, and I think that's something I think a lot about with my kids being young. It's like, how do you build that confidence and self-esteem, and because earlier in life that you realize that nobody really is paying attention, nobody cares, like you were saying, they do, but
out of 100, about 3 really do.
yeah,
That's the
and the things that you stress about when you're in middle school or high school, like later on, I can't even remember the things that were at the when I was in high school that were the biggest thing I was stressed about. I can't remember what they are now, you know. But in that moment, it is the biggest thing in your world. But and I feel like it's hard to. Some of that you just have to learn as you grow up. But
I was telling Bo, I said I love my kids so much, and they have a hell of a mother too. So I can't take credit for it. So I want to make sure I say that.
Know that. For sure.
A hell of a mother. But I don't want them to like take some of that stuff for granted. I kind of lost my train of thought for a minute.
Yeah.
But I just know that if they start looking at themselves too much, they miss the beauty of everything else. Like there's so much beauty in the spotlight not always being on you.
Yeah.
That's one part that I know Brooklyn's had to figure out. Bo has too, but it's really being that good teammate part and just being a damn good friend and caring about others. I just want them to think a little less about themselves and more of others. That's kind of the goal.
Yeah, and the funny part is that's the best thing for you. It's the best thing you can do for yourself is to not focus on yourself.
Yeah.
But it's hard. I mean,
we're raised to be selfish, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I don't like it, but
yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I had another thing I wanted to say, but it's that podcast. I don't know what it is.
I'll figure it out.
Think and talk at the same time. I should write notes down.
Yeah.
When we leave this podcast, I'll have 1,000 things I wish I would have said. But
yeah.
Well, what else is going good, going bad? What's the worst part outside of editing of your job? Because everybody's got the worst part that they dread.
Oh man,
it probably is editing.
Yeah, I mean that's the part that. I mean, the most fun part is going out and shooting. You know, that's the fun part. Especially, I really enjoy flying my drone and doing that because it's just a whole different. You know, it's like playing a video game.
Your drone's slightly nicer than my drone.
Yeah,
like I'm being very facetious here. He's got a real drone. I've got a nice little drone.
Yeah,
yours is awesome.
Yeah, it's fun.
The wind rocks mine. The wind does not rock yours. So,
yep. Yeah, and I've got a couple projects right now where. Like one that it's a drone time lapse. So I go every week. So it doesn't matter if the wind is crazy, if it's snow. I was out there a couple weeks ago and it was just like blizzard snow. Ugh. But it makes for cool shots. To see you can see the snowflakes and stuff. But
I know what I was gonna say. Sorry, I have a squirrel moment. I told Bo, I said, hey, what's your definition? What's the difference between? Damn, I just lost it again. I'll have to edit that out. Here, could we cut that out for me?
Yeah.
So 117.
Confidence and cockiness or something? You've said that before.
Oh. What is the difference between your reputation and your character? And I asked him that. And I said, I heard this, and I just wanted to know your 14-year-old view on it.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, my confidence or my character is who I am. Like it's all the skills that I'm stacking, and that's stuff that people can't take away from me.
Yeah.
And I said, well, so that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna tell if you're right or wrong.
Yeah.
I said, but what about your reputation? And he goes, I think the reputation is what people perceive you as.
Yeah.
And I said, you couldn't have said that any more perfect. That's exactly what it is. So I care way more about my character than I do my reputation. I'm not a perfect person. I've made tons of mistakes in my life. And some people, if they can't let it go, that's kind of on them, right?
Yeah.
But if they see your true character
and
your actions and the things you actually stand for, that is what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And for that 14-year-old boy to know the difference without me preempting him, I thought was really, really neat.
That is
really
cool.
neat. Now, when we build our character, I mean, you never stop doing that.
Yeah.
The reputation piece, I think for so many years I was more worried about my reputation.
Yeah.
I could give two rips about it now.
Yeah. Well,
I know who I am, and I know, you know what I mean? Now with social media, people they could paint a picture about you and run with it, and if you choose to believe it, that's on you.
Yeah.
But your character is something nobody can take that from you.
Yeah, because I feel like if your character is solid, then the reputation's going to even out. You know, it's like you might get a random negative Google review because somebody was mad or something, but like the overall, if you zoom out, it's, if your character is solid, then that's all going to take care of itself.
Oh yeah.
You know?
I wanted to make sure we captured that because we talk about the kids a lot.
Yeah,
and
that's really
that's our
cool.
priority one.
Yeah.
And I thought you'd enjoy that part.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, did you read that off my phone? 'Cause that's pretty much.
That tells you that he understands it.
He does.
You know?
He does.
Yeah.
He's we're gonna have him on, and then Brooklyn. I want to have him on towards February, March.
Yeah.
But you probably won't recognize that kid.
Yeah,
he looks that different.
Wow.
He's taller than me, and he's my size.
Man.
But he's better. Way better. None of the padding. No, I'm very, very proud of both of them kids.
Yeah,
they come
that's
a long
cool.
way. But let's wrap this thing up.
Yeah.
Anything you want to add? I know Jeff, like he does. Tell them everything you do so people know.
Yeah, mainly
and your socials and all that stuff.
Yeah, mainly work with local businesses, helping them with website videos, social media videos, basically getting their story out or explaining their processes and services in a way that kind of relates to their audience. And I work at a lot of construction, but I kind of work with a lot of different types of businesses. So, campfirevideos.com. That's the main place to find me.
Yeah, you ain't hard to find. Just like
That's
me.
right. Yep.
No, we appreciate you.
Yeah.
A lot of our success is because of you, and I mean that
same.
wholeheartedly. Yeah. I'm very thankful we're doing this together.
Yeah.
This is a cool project. There's others we're working on. We're not ready to talk about yet, but I'm glad we're doing this together because the way we met at the gym is cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Our story is cool. We're cool. Hear that, kids? We're cool. And I couldn't be more proud of you, man. You're doing a hell of a job, and keep that up.
No, you've been awesome to work with, and become a really good friend. And
same.
Yeah, and a lot of people will say that they have your back, but I was just talking to, I was joking around with Steph the other day, my wife, because. If I do end up having this surgery that I'm gonna have, I might be down for a few weeks. And I was like, you can't drive, and we were just joking about how I would get to some jobs that I have to do. And I was like, you know what? If I ever needed to, I could call Ryan, and he'd be my driver before I could hang the phone.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I would.
And there's not a lot of people that I could truly say,
Well, thank you. That means a lot. That means more to me than about anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm that kind of guy.
Yeah,
if I
you
tell you
are.
I got
You
your back, I
truly
got
are.
your back,
Yeah.
and that's not lip service. So,
Yep.
Anyway, please share the show. Hit us up in the comments. Let us know what you think. We are trying to grow this show. It's organic. We're lean and mean, but we genuinely want to hear what you guys have to say. We do have a few comments. We'll probably drop a podcast in the next couple of weeks with some questions that people have emailed in. Just hit me up on my construction email, ryan@bashamconstruction.com for now. And like I said, share the show. We love the support, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Have a good day.
See ya.